I was the first guy to on the stage, and the guy who told me that com science is available. मतलब मुझे com science नहीं चाहिए. The guy actually said, "You take a half an hour break, come back, सबसे बात करके आ जा." I was getting electronics also, and then I came back after half an hour. I was completely brainwashed by this IIT guy. Came back and said कि मुझे chemical ही चाहिए.
फिर आपने कुछ किया इंजीनियरिंग के टाइम पे विद योर इनिशियल शाइनेस? डिड यू पार्टिसिपेट इन एक्स्ट्रा करिक्स? डिड यू डू एनी इवेंट्स इन कॉलेज और डिड यू जस्ट स्टडी और डिड यू जस्ट एंजॉय द बॉम्बे लाइफ? व्हाट डिड यू डू?
It's a mix of everything in that sense. The third part is more important, and that's what we ensured. So the thing is that it was a private hostel first, and after 3 years of engineering, I decided that we need to do something different. It happens with a lot of engineers, I'm sure. From a college perspective, I would term myself more like a visiting student. There were visiting faculties, but visiting student, and we were a bunch of crazy guys out there. And hostel life shaped a lot of my future life in that sense. Very big inflection points there. And 4th year of engineering is where we decided we are not going to do engineering. Couldn't kind of figure out a way to live with balancing equations. I was in chemical actually, and there is a story behind that as well. I had very good grades and very good marks during the HSC thing, and I had an option to take com science and electronics, but I went to a IIT professor before the consultation happens, right? And this guy actually told me that your father is retiring very soon. You need to be in a green field, stream, which never dies, right? So it is mechanical, electrical, and chemical. And I had come from Bhusawal, how much, and IIT professor is like a, big guy out there.
So आपने com science नहीं लिया?
I was the first guy to on the stage, and the guy who told me that com science is available. मतलब मुझे com science नहीं चाहिए. The guy actually said, "You take a half an hour break, come back, सबसे बात करके आ जा." I was getting electronics also, and then I came back after half an hour. I was completely brainwashed by this IIT guy. Right? Came back and said कि मुझे chemical ही चाहिए. I was the first guy, and after that, I think 100 people went in, not taking chemical. But essentially, the larger point is that the journeys are such that they become very serendipitous, right? Like things one after the other shape your mindset and also your path. 4th year decided not to balance equations anymore for chemistry equations of them. Decided that we'll build a business. 4th year itself.
तब से startup का किया?
तब से engineering we have been. So I and Santosh, my co-founder, we have been together since engineering days. We met in the hostel. So a lot of stories out there we can keep on continuing, but essentially that's where we decided that we'll build a business. And we come from Sindhi background, so we know a lot of people in our community actually look down upon doing a private service. क्या कर रहे थे यार? People used to, so I used to go to my family gathering and people used to say क्या कर रहे थे यार? क्या? Just start your business, man. So they were actually kind of very pushy in terms of doing on our own. So that's where the journey started. The first startup experience was right out of college. There was this, I don't know how many people know, but Dhirubhai Ambani Entrepreneur Program was there. So before Jio launched now, there was one more attempt by Reliance Group, right?
The Infocom times.
Reliance Infocom times. And then they had actually launched a Dhirubhai Ambani Entrepreneur Program, where it was like a glorified way for hiring sellers of mobile phones. अब we were like, ना हमको लगा कि यार entrepreneur program है, चले जाते हैं.
Sir, मैं भी था उसका part. In college I used to go with forms and get people to sign up for the DAPO program.
Dhirubhai Ambani Entrepreneur. So we actually enrolled into that program and started selling mobile phones. उसका उनका एक ऑफर था 501 रुपए का ऑफर,
Monsoon offer.
मॉनसून ऑफर 501. Like it was phenomenal. And there we actually, all three engineers, though electronics make chemical, phones बेच रहे हैं after like engineering, right? So it was funny. But again, because it was our first startup, probably our first startup which turned a profit, and so we started selling phones to companies. हम लोग individual जाने लगे, बहुत time ले जाएगा to actually kind of make it something. So we went to, we used to actually sell phones, big orders to companies. That was our first understanding of how segmentation works, right? Not knowing that we are doing segmentation at that time, right? So it was phenomenal journey. Then we actually said that what next is to really understand how businesses are built. So we'll get into MBA. MBA may be unfortunately visiting students again. So we used to actually spend more time with I think 2 companies.
So where did you go for an MBA? Because यहाँ पे बहुत सारी MBA जनता है, तो MBA की जर्नी बताओ. Did you take which entrance exams did you take, or were you like it doesn't matter कौन से MBA school जा रहे, we just want to finish with an MBA?
Yeah, we actually more it was geared towards there were options like SP Jain and then XLRI and certain options, but not very gung-ho about which college to go to, just based on convenience, frankly speaking. So Bandra की आदत थी हमें, तो we just went into Bandra College. Chetna is the Institute of Management. That's where we did MBA. And MBA, I think most of the time we spent was in Shoppers Stop and a lot of time in Rediff. So
मतलब साइबर कैफे में?
नहीं. So we were doing actually projects for Shoppers Stop while we were at an MBA. So one was Shoppers Stop and one was Rediff के साथ हमने project किया था, and then that actually made us again visiting students to our MBA college as well, so hardly being in. But again the whole idea was that are we learning, right? And a lot of times, because I think you guys are looking at MBA.
So but your co-founder Santosh also joined you for MBA also?
Yeah.
तो उसने भी वहीं पे admission लिया?
And it's a matter of convenience. It's not like we are actually giving it such a huge thought. But we just wanted to understand how to build a business.
No, but I'm sure like you must have had to take a MHCET and you would have had to get some ranks to get admission, no? Wherever it is. So how did you synchronize that के दोनों को enough marks आएंगे to get into Chetna?
नहीं, we had options.
But आपने तो
दोनों का options था. I had option in SP Jain, I think, but another thing that we had done was we had actually paid up in Chetna. और वहाँ पे क्या हो गया था कि 1 लाख हमने दे दिया था, और if we had actually switched to SP Jain then तो फिर 1 लाख चला जाता है. और वो अभी हम एक अपना बिजनेस चला के आए, हमको पता चला पैसा कमाना बहुत मुश्किल है. And so the whole idea was that so it was not very deliberate, frankly speaking, right? Today there is more information, there is more ways,
Yeah, I mean,
you have people like Ankit helping you guys out. So
yeah, I mean, people crucify you, right? Like if you did something like this, you're getting SP Jain and you said के नहीं convenient है Chetna जाना, Bandra में है तो मैं Chetna. I mean, it sounds almost blasphemous, but I understand. It was a different time. I understand, and but it's worked out anyway brilliantly for you. So.
Yeah, so the whole idea that while it sounds very fancy and all that, is that you have partners, you have independence, you can actually take a lot of shots at this age, right? And let that exploration be at the heart than being overly deliberate about analysis paralysis. में we could see our friends going bonkers, right? कि नहीं यार ये कर लेते हैं, वो कर लेते हैं, वो ये वाला कॉलेज वो वाला कॉलेज, 1 मार्क्स से बंदे ने अपने आप को बहुत कुछ कर लिया, तो वो आई थिंक. बट इवेंचुअली देयर इज द बिग लर्निंग फॉर मी वाज देयर वाज वेरी लिटिल कोरिलेशन टू व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन inside the college to the success that we have seen post which in the real world, right? So I think so that was the journey for MBA, and then we were very excited with retail as an opportunity. I don't know how many people know, but that was the starting point of organized retail, where Future Group had actually was one of the largest, most revered companies. Shoppers Stop was one of the most revered companies to actually get into understand retail, supply chain management, retail, consumer behavior and all that. So I got placed into Future Group as management trainee there, first company to come in.
So why didn't you start a company again immediately after Chetna? Because you were sure, right, that you all wanted to learn business. You never wanted to go into it to get a job.
Yeah. So I think the idea was that we'll still spend. So we understood certain aspects of how to build a business, but going into a company and understanding the nuances of it and then starting is how we started thinking about it. In MBA specifically, before I come to Future Group, is we changed almost every professor we had for a simple reason. The thing that the earlier professor was teaching had very little relevance to what we were doing with Shopper Stop, for example, in outside real world, right? Very little relevance to what Rediff was doing at that time in the internet space. He said and we being engineers, we couldn't understand a lot of marketing stuff, right? Which looks very abstract. So then we actually changed the professor who actually taught us consumer behavior in maths. And it was eye-opening because everything is a science, right? And a lot of people think that marketing is an art, blah and all that, but it is a discipline. It is very, what do I say? It's quite scientifically driven as a whole thing. So the idea was that you can make the best use of your college based on how you look at the change.
And Future Group you wanted to go because you felt you still needed to learn a few things.
Yes.
So and did your co-founder also get into Future Group? के वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा separation हुआ?
वहाँ पे there was a separation. He joined another company, but Future Group was again amazing journey. I was actually after like 3 months of being in Bandra, and after the whole college thing, right? In Bandra, I was in Nasik, managing Big Bazaar there. So it was another, so as part of the management trainee program, you're actually thrown into like different businesses of the group, and then you go there. And amazing journey to really manage.
So you were a store manager at
store manager as at Big Bazaar, right? So it was the first Big Bazaar in Nasik ever. So amazing learning there because you're seeing consumer behavior change. You were seeing so many things. How to negotiate with vendors, how to actually get your sales done, how to actually manage the team, keep them excited. People at that point of time were not used to actually working on Sundays, right? Because retail boom was just beginning, and Nasik is like not only organized retail outlet there. So that was another amazing journey for 2 years. Then the idea was figured out कि यार retail तो नहीं हो पाएगा अपने से because it needs like insane amount of money. All wrong. So these are not like, you guys should not look at this journey saying that I took all the right decisions, but it is actually a lot of decisions which led to something. So the story has to be looked at from that perspective before you guys draw any conclusions.
Like you felt like real estate would have been a big investment and
Correct.
Retail ka distribution figure out करने में would have been a big. So you thought कि नहीं कर सकते.
Like it is going to be super tough. And post that I went to consulting so that we could actually see multiple verticals, right? So to say. So the larger point has been that can I continue to explore till I find my core. I think it shapes the person very, very different when you are in exploration mode and you keep on kind of and if you look at it outside in, my friends, their families used to look at us कि something is wrong with this guy, right? Because we are continuously changing. And so went to Nielsen Consulting.
So that's a market research firm, right?
That's a market research firm. But we would consult to like on a qualitative side, consumer behavior, consumer research, multiple industries. And that's where I think the big moment happened for me, which is where I worked for Google on a project. So Google at that point of time was trying to figure out where the next set of 100 million internet users will come from. And they had given the project, I was leading that. Phenomenal learning there, that what is internet, how do you actually kind of drive efficiencies, like amazing journey. And that's where the whole thing came in, that this is something that can really change the world. There is a huge opportunity. This is where we can actually kind of, without like crazy amounts of money that you would need in an offline business, you could actually do something, start off. And from there, I actually got into InMobi. So I don't know how many people know InMobi is India's first unicorn. I was the first guy there after the founders. So like literally, working out of an apartment kind of thing. And these guys had flown from Harvard, like Naveen is from Harvard, and all the other founders were from IIT Kanpur. And the whole thing actually happened that they were looking for someone to come in and join the team. And they found the approach that I had, and the whole thing actually I had very good. And like that's where the journey for